Well, so let's do the discussions.
Indeed, and we've got all the papers splayed out before us.
What's the discussion?
On the
Okay, let's look at the headlines.
Mr. Fight. How are you both, though? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, we're good. Mother and son.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I celebrated my son on Facebook.
Is that
Was
so?
it his birthday? Was it your birthday?
It was
You don't
a...
need birthdays to celebrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I just wanted to share the fact that he's real, and real is rare. Yeah.
You mean
There's something just
Real
slightly
people are rare.
disturbing about these two. And they
I
are,
met an engineer at VR yesterday. He's Frank Appellate, and he was telling me that the two of you, the connection.
Yeah?
I'm always
You
wondering.
didn't say mother and son?
I just loved it.
But sometimes when I look at the pictures, it doesn't look mother and son.
at all.
What does it look like?
That's why we are all concerned.
I'm not saying for security reasons. Yeah.
By
but
the
good
way,
morning, guys.
my mother sends her regards to all three
Thank
of
you, Mom. What's her name?
Are you sure it
Mrs.
didn't come
Grace
with
Jansen.
anything else?
No, what's her real name?
Yes, but I've eaten
Auntie
it.
Grace.
Yes.
Auntie Grace is fine.
Yes.
Auntie Grace, good morning.
Her friends
What's her
call
name?
her Adum Grace.
Adom Grace. Adomara Grace.
Nice.
So
Good morning to
she
you.
watches you guys every day.
Since
religiously.
the
She
Cape
watches
guys,
us.
since the Cape guys are not throwing a party, she should throw it and invite us.
Yeah.
so?
It will be a reason to go to
Think
Cape
about
Coast.
it. We'll think about
We
it.
need a reason to
Yeah,
be
we
Cape
need
Coast.
some reveling time.
Yeah. The Afasha couldn't pull us. Some home show could do.
No,
Eh,
he didn't
Yeah.
pull us to their fashion. I think they should have.
He didn't even bring us anything.
voila.
Nothing. Nothing.
Oh, I was given some kinky to bring to you guys.
Uh,
I soaked half of it on my way here.
One thing
the
I
other
do know,
half.
Cape
Well.
Coast, they don't eat much of the cake being sold there. So I think he's lying on that.
Oh, it's true. We love kinky.
All right,
All right.
we have to do the papers, right? But I want to say
Yeah.
thank you to a plastic surgeon who is in Hollywood. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I want to
Is
do
he
something.
Hollywood or
Yes, it's
California?
He said Hollywood.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, he
You
does
know.
cosmetic surgery, lipos, and all that.
exactly. So now I know where to fix myself.
He's
Boga
Ghana's Dr. Obinfo in the US.
No, he's not.
Oh, no.
He's not.
Dr. Ogunfunmi is something else.
No, but Dr. Obinfo is a qualified doctor.
So
was
good
it?
morning to you, Dr. Asante.
Yes, but not licensed to do plastic.
Hopefully we'll
We're
get
told.
you in the studio when you're in Ghana,
No
and then
license
we'll
by
talk about the
Ghana.
practice
Yeah, the
where you are.
certification.
But let's do the newspapers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's start from the Today newspaper.
Sure.
It says World Bank angry at Ghana. It has a picture there of Kweku Asomachrem, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. The story is on page 3 of the Today newspaper. And then we also have over 60,000 students' fate in limbo as they can't be placed under the CSSPS. It just be all the placement system.
Computerized
School
placement.
selection placement.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have MC calls for support as he seeks God's favor, but look, 60,000. Well, it happened last year. You have to go into the dashboard and then get to place yourself in schools that that have enough spaces. I mean, that's all that it means. It doesn't mean that they just didn't get their choices.
They didn't, yeah.
okay.
But you know what happened last year was, okay, when we get into that, we'll share all that.
Cassandra,
Let's
good morning.
just
You and
go
I,
through
we
the
have an
headlines.
axe to grind.
Hey, you go and grind your axe on Cassandra while I share the headlines from the Ghanaian Times. And this is the banner one. Free SHS placements out as double track system takes off. Green track starts September 10, and then the gold track
I thought it was September 11.
well, it says September 10 here. And according to them, the gold track begins on November 8, 2018. Also, government to enact law against
We have the
fiscal
gold track.
indiscipline.
Yeah, green and gold. So the gold are the waiting guys.
But yesterday
The
I was
green are the
hearing
going
red
guys.
and green.
No.
No, it's green and gold.
Gold and
Red will probably be
The top.
SHS 3 or whatever. And
2
then,
and 3, I think.
yeah. Blue or whatever it might be. Yeah, okay. So also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, government to enact law against fiscal indiscipline. And that's according to the senior minister. Every time I read the announcement of a new law, I remind myself that whatever law is enacted, it is government that has the power to decide whether someone has broken it or not.
Yeah.
And that brings me all the way back down to earth with a massive crash. Okay, Ghana to replicate Chinese development model. That's according to the president.
Did we say that?
Yes, he did.
Well, the Daily Guide actually has that story. It captures it differently. It says, we'll copy China as success story. That is according to the president. Has his photograph here.
Okay. He has to change the system of government first.
Oh, that's
In fact, it almost sounds as if he's acknowledging that in the story. We can talk about it later.
Yeah.
I also have the Finder.
Okay, you want to do the Finder?
Yeah, let me do that quickly. By the way, let's see what's on the back page of the Ghanaian Times. 10,000 Laura farmers, Laura, right? Farmers to receive free cashew seedlings. And President to launch PERD and DCACT concept soon. God, one day we will drown in acronyms. Okay, the Finder newspaper, and we have these. Ghana to copy China to create progress and prosperity for the masses, according to the president. 428,134 students secure SHS placement. I guess that leaves the 60,000 that are now to be placed manually. Provide workable recommendations on government policies. That's Osafo Marfo speaking. Demurrage declines by 21% in 6 months. That's according to a shippers authority. And this is a story I'll be telling you about later. 2 charged for stealing 200,000 Ghana cedis from Consolidated Bank.
Well, so apart from that story about the president, he has, the Daily Guide also has, Esiedun Ketia must go is coming from Alote Jacobs, the former Central Regional Secretary of the NDC. You also have NDC outdoors, dragons, lions, and hawks militias for 2020 polls. Okay, so the hawks look bigger than the dragons. Okay, that's from the photograph. We'll talk about that later. Bagri Dam floods homes, also on the front page of the Daily Guide. At the Daily Heritage, quickly, it says, a 50 billion 100-year bond saga. Ghana took off $350 billion to service loan, says minority. You also have bring NDC back to power, also on the front page. Ghana aiming to replicate China's success story, is according to the president. And the last one here says, Abiman celebrates 2018 Homo.
Let's do the Daily Graphic next. On the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, 490,514 go to SHS. They commence double track system September 11, but the Ghanaian Times also says September 10. Ghana Business Awards rock Accra in October. Agric Ministry secures $216 million loan for planting for food and jobs. Back page of the graphic, robberies increased in 2017. Police give assurance of effective remedial measures. We know the Finder carried the story yesterday. University of East London signs MOU with Ghana as varsity confers honorary doctorate on Asantehene. And then the Daily Statesman newspaper, over 400,000 get placement for free SHS. Ghana emulating China's development module, according to President. Vote out Esiedun Ketia, Alote Jacobs urges NDC. The Observer, we've done the Observer?
No.
The Ghanaian Observer newspaper, IMF slaps NDC over $2 billion Sino Hydro deal. Ghana aiming to replicate China's success story, President Akufo-Addo. NDC elders kick against Mahama's second coming. Education Minister launches National Service Scheme for pickup donation to the GES. Alote Jacobs wants Esiedun Ketia voted out. Back page, appear unfazed by injuries ahead of Kenya clash. Kenya confident of victory over Ghana, so it's vice versa. On the back page of the paper. And I don't want to read about this one. You see the headline right there. You can grab the paper. It's the Ghanaian Observer newspaper.
The Manchester United headline.
Oh,
I saw that.
Oh.
Well, let's do the last paper. We have the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Has pictures of John Mahama, Sylvester Mensah, Joshua Alabi, Ekospio Gabra, Alan Bagbin, Guzi Tano, Ricketts Hagen. Who will be NDC's choice to face Akufo-Addo in 2020 elections? Seems to be a question the Daily Dispatch is asking. The story is on the back page though, so just have to grab a copy of the paper and get to know what the content of the story are, and it's obvious what the analysis will be, the observations and the permutations. IMF Ghana office sends minority petition on $2 billion Chinese bauxite deal to its headquarters. So that's captured front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper.
Well, I think the details now. Let me tell you about the dragons, the lions.
So this is from the Daily
hawks,
Guide.
according to the Daily Guide.
Okay.
Yes. So I think we have a sense of what they are. They are vigilante groups in simple terms. Now, if you want to know where to find each of them, the paper says in the Ashanti region they are called the hawks. If you go to the Brown Afro region, they are called the dragons. In the Eastern region, they call themselves the lions. And so we are told that they were visible during the conference that was held in various regions across the country.
So what is their job? What is their mandate?
So they are supposed to be party security in simple terms, just like the NPP has the Invincible Forces. Yes. And I was telling someone yesterday that I don't think there's any country that gives meaning to freedom of association than Ghana. Days back, I saw something about some NAPCO Applicants Association. And I was saying that, yeah, they released a statement, they were complaining about the slow pace in the process. And I was saying that in the event they are employed into NAPCO, they will form the NAPCO Employees Association. So it becomes a different association. And
Do you know what?
So the metamorphose into
Ghana is sweet.
Yeah.
Do you know the worst ones? Friends of.
Yeah.
Or concerned, so concerned workers of Kolebu or friends of.
Yeah, we used to have one, Concerned Teachers Association.
Yeah, we still do. We have the Concerned
But
Teachers.
the leaders seem to have whittled down into the background to do many other things. I think all of them started pressure groups.
Yeah. The problem we have with
and
some
they
of these
resurrect
associations
at different times in our governance system, depending on who.
So
we had CJA, then we had AFAG. Now we have some new ones coming.
We have the Let My Vote Count
Let My Vote Count Alliance.
Yeah, Let My Vote Count. Where's that guy, David? He used to come into
Ghana Publishing Company.
That's where he works.
Yes, he's the CEO now. The thing about the groups, once you are mentioned, that people are okay with them. The difference with this one is that they tend to engage in violence.
That's right.
They are the guys who seize the properties when there's a change in power. They are the guys who go to the police station.
March to the RCC.
The NDC linked ones are also readying themselves to seize property.
I guess so. And then that is where the problem is. I think the party, there's nothing wrong with the party wanting to have private security, but
there's everything wrong with the party trying to have
excessive.
because we have laid down regulation.
The problem is that if they are going through the process, it's fine.
No, it is there's everything wrong with the political parties.
So why do they still exist?
Because the politicians, the political elites, they are the same.
Okay.
They are the same members of the political parties, and they are in government or they rule.
So here's what's wrong with it. This is a country of laws. If you want to form a private security company, there are laws. You have to get yourself licensed as a private security company. If you don't do that, then what you are doing is you are forming an illegal grouping.
Okay, this is an association that provides.
It's not an association. Yes, providing security is a regulated activity. So if you are going to provide security for anybody, if you are going to provide security for anybody, whether it's for a political party, for an individual, you must be licensed to do so.
So if
otherwise, you are doing it illegally.
If they are not and they still exist, why are they there?
No, because they are there because the political elite or the politicians who make up the structure of government after an election, they allow them to exist. Because the NPP in government is allowing its
invisible forces,
thugs to be around the party because they are in government. And we know that logically, if the NPP should go out of government, the next party to form government, possibly in the near future, would be the NDC. And the politicians are friends, just like we're all friends with them. And sometimes they don't want to touch each other. And that's a reality.
Let's look at the other side of the conversation as well. I remember, things coming up during the elections and the parties saying that if they didn't have their own private security, it wouldn't have been good.
That was a poor excuse.
The parties in opposition tend not to trust the state security. Interestingly, when they change and they take over power, then they now trust the police.
Yeah, because they have the power to change the structure, change everybody at the top. you know. And we've heard even some of the officers at the top are aligned. So the moment there's a change, you know, the people around know that this man will go.
But let me tell you something. I had a couple of friends who perhaps were middle level or top, were changed. Some of them were sent to WOW or some of those far places. But apparently, because somebody is good at his job at a particular point in time when a certain political party is in government, doesn't mean that that person is aligned to that political party.
Not at all times.
So,
there are times that some of them also do politics with their positions.
We ended up having many of them brought back. So we shouldn't be doing these things to ourselves.
You know what? That's an interesting point Mama V makes. So let's take one example of how a policeman might do politics with his position. What's an example? What would a policeman do?
When there's a protest by a political party, the opposition,
yes,
he will allow,
we are being general, right? We're not naming any police officer.
He will allow his forces to brutalize the opposition pressure group members, and it's happened severally. I mean, it's not just happened in the last 4 years. It's been happening.
I mean, there are things that we can physically put one or two together, but there are things that we also don't see.
Right.
I mean, there are policies and there are things that move around at the very top. That is, the motivation is because they're politically aligned, or they believe, or somebody is asking them to do something. So they're not doing it professionally. They're doing it because some political leader has asked me to do something. I mean, you can't be taking instructions, for instance, from a general secretary of a political party.
Yes, that's the point I wanted to make. That you see, in the end, if the police top brass are found to be aligned, it's the fault of the political parties. They are the ones that are exerting the influence on the police force in a way that forces them to pick a side. Okay, so if we want to solve that problem, it's still back to the same political parties. They're still the same people we need to...
As a politician, for example, not that I'm cutting you, as a politicians who would have to make sure the regulations are changed so that we don't have a vice president of a country being the chairman of the police council.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the IGP will have to go and sit at a table with the vice president of the Republic of Ghana. And if you so-called brutalized, not you directly, but your forces or personnel brutalize members of his party, by which, in default, you even were appointed by the president of the republic, for which that gentleman who is the vice president is his vice president, you're in trouble.
You are making this very, 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 very convoluted. Of which, for which, by which, in which.
You're in deep trouble.
We must change.
Because he's a vice president of a president who appoints the IGP. That vice president is the chairman of the council on which that same vice president sits.
Should the president even be appointing the IGP?
It shouldn't even be happening.
You know how it's interesting? They see clearly and they make very objective commentary when they're in opposition.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Like, for example, we don't like borrowing, and sometimes you come, it's all borrowing.
50 billion.
Let's do the other stories.
Shall we find out for us later?
Yeah, 50 billion.
Okay, so let's talk about the Ghana Education Service, shall we? Let's talk about free SHS. Let's talk about double track. This story in the Daily Graphic, 490,514 will go to school on the double track. The first would be September 11, and they are in school.
Or September 10, according to the Ghanaian Times.
Yeah, they'll be in school in September 10, but they'll start classes the next day. I mean, that's what it means.
Yeah, but that's what the official date is what we use. We
It's
don't
10.
use when they go.
It's 10.
10 they're in class.
Yeah.
Okay.
September 10.
The figure, they're over 400,000. They constitute 90% of the 521,710 candidates who registered for the BEC this year. A release issued by the Ghana Education Service in Accra yesterday said out of the over 400,000 who qualified to be placed, a little over 400,000 were automatically placed, while 67,362 could not be matched with any of their choices. Let's remain here a little bit. So if the computer didn't place you, what they did last year was they placed you after the first placement. They looked at the schools that were left and then they would put you somewhere. But they said people complained. I didn't choose and then you gave me. So what they've done now is the schools available are there. You go and choose the one that you like.
They did it last year too. Same thing. So we had people who hadn't been placed last year too.
No, yeah, but before that...
And you have to go onto the dashboard.
Yes.
And go through
That
there's
was
certain
after
schools with a
they
certain
placed. That was after they placed you
No.
when you had not chosen.
No.
I listened to Cassandra yesterday explain.
so last year, no, because I helped a certain student to do
But
a
I
choice.
also listened to Cassandra.
Okay, so this is what we experienced last year. I experienced with Mami. She was not placed at all. But
That means she didn't get her choice.
Yes, they are out of
She
the
didn't-
options.
she didn't get
she
the-
selected.
options she
yes, and these
selected.
people too,
Yeah, that's
they didn't get their choice. Their choices were not met.
Yeah, I just want us
so
to be on
so
the
you
same
go
page.
onto the dashboard and you make a choice of schools that have space, and so they are available on the dashboard.
From experience, the problem with that is that a lot of the time you have schools that are in areas that you may not want to attend.
Exactly.
And they are likely to be day schools too.
Exactly.
I also assisted someone and I realized that challenge.
Okay.
A lot of them are day schools. So far away, somewhere in the central region, maybe you live in the greater
That's where the
Accra.
issue of people renting houses for their 15-year-old, their 16-year-old
All
came up
comes
strongly
Indeed,
last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your teenager in a hostel away from home?
And,
Yeah.
and these days they are becoming younger and younger.
It's
Because
scary.
the kids
I think
are
you're even
becoming
lucky to
smarter.
get a hostel. Sometimes it's somebody's house where adults go and rent.
Yeah.
And you're renting for that child and you're leaving that child.
Well, in areas where we have a number of the schools, like if it's Cape Coast or a number of them, then you have hostels that necessarily also are not meant for children of that age. They're
We
meant for
deliberately build those hostels.
yes, for tertiary
Yeah.
institutions,
Yes, yes.
etc. So you get to find that they have to go to markets or go and shop and all that. And I think pretty much they're underage to do many of
It's
the
a-
things.
it's a part of-
by our own
Now,
standards.
now, I'm gonna preface this statement with, Mr. President, we want free SHS to work.
to work.
So please, we've identified this little problem with it. Can we talk about it?
Give the double track a
without
chance.
being called
Yeah, I think it'll work.
professional naysayers.
Now we have no choice.
Without you condemning us as professional naysayers, and without you responding to us that free SHS will happen by hook or crook. We know, and we want it to happen. So can we just talk about this one? Teenagers.
Can I speak in Eugene's voice?
Being forced,
Okay.
being forced
Eugene.
to live on their own. I mean, imagine your 14-year-old child when you're renting
what
a
would
place
you say,
on her own, on her
Okay.
own, living with in a
And-
community
and-
she doesn't come
Yeah.
from, simply because it's free. I don't know whether in the end the benefit of that free education will be achieved if things go wrong while this child is living away from her family for the first time. Can we talk about this? Can
Okay.
we also see
This is
how
Eugene
to
Ahin
solve that
speaking now.
problem?
You know,
We appreciate the fact that you're following this issue, Kojo, and the media. But that's why it's double track. So what it means is not all the children will be in school. But can we give the double track a chance? Let them go and let's see the issues that come up with it.
This issue is coming up now.
I am done. I am no longer
No, but
Eugene.
seriously, I know of a 12-year-old. She's not even 12 yet, and she's passed the examination. She's going to school.
So if
Yeah,
she
but
doesn't get a
but we've been-
boarding school,
Yeah.
And we don't know whether she's gotten a
But
boarding
we've been
school
told
because
that.
yesterday
But
we've been trying to
Kojo,
access the system.
Can I flip this a bit?
flip 'em, man.
Without double track, it means all these people will be home. Is that what it means?
But this is not because of double track.
No, I'm just asking.
You
I'm
get
just
it.
asking.
This is simply
just asking.
because
Will they be home?
didn't get
I'm just
placed.
No, I'm
There
not-
are
I'm
so
not- I'm
many
not-
of them.
I'm not-
They
yeah.
are
Well,
not
you can't
getting
be sure.
placed in the
You
schools.
can't
they
be
choose.
sure because they were building
Alright.
more schools.
I'm,
where-
I'm asking
Can we
because
move on?
I'm
Can
asking
we move
because
on?
we've seen the admission trends and the numbers are increasing.
Yeah, last year
That's
was
what's in doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what in
there
doubt.
were
So,
infrastructural expansions.
395,000.
yeah, but the numbers are increasing with free SHS the first year and the second one. The numbers are increasing.
And this year we have 480,000.
The gap is 181,000 actually. Those are people that we can't provide space for them. Apart from those we've admitted that we can accommodate.
Have we started asking questions about next year? Do we know
But
how
next
many,
year we'll go like 500.
how many are going to come out?
The projections have been done, but that's why Nat is saying, for
I
instance,
don't know.
that
I think we should
they
just
want
hold on
governments
just
to
a
stick
little
to
longer.
providing the
Let's wait for
infrastructure
10th and
so that
11th.
within 5,
Yeah.
7 years they
I
can
think we
exit
should-
it.
we should
But
wait for 10th
if we
and
couldn't
11th.
build any block of a
Me,
school
I don't
building
like-
the last
I don't
18
like,
years.
I don't like waiting before.
The last
we
18
think
months,
about
how can we
it.
build the next year?
That's the only way
Yeah.
you can appreciate the real issues.
Yeah.
But it's
Right
not-
now,
you see, for
it's
me,
just
this is a problem that has been highlighted. What we don't know is how many will be affected, but we know it will happen. We know it's happening.
I think we just have to let the system
we,
roll.
What we don't know until 10th and 11th is how many will be affected.
It will happen.
But the fact that the problem exists, we know that. Can we start thinking
you're beginning to
based
sound
on
like
that?
a naysayer.
I know, a professional one. All right, so let me tell you guys this story because it sounds like something from Kumawood. All right, so let
But
me
it is not a movie.
no,
it's
in
real
real
life.
life.
Real
But you're
story.
giving them a storyline.
Well
Let
published.
me introduce you to Bobik, Kwame Nayeboah, and Prince Ababu. Now, Bobik worked for Consolidated Bank his job title is
You mean
here.
before?
I'm trying to find it. He worked. That's what I said. He
Before?
worked for them as a bullion teller. Prince worked for them as a cash boy. They were both with Beige Bank, and then they got consolidated. Now, so let's call them Bobik and Prince. Bobik, the bullion teller, was and Prince, the cash boy, were now placed in charge of the central bullion, distribution center of the bank. Now, one day they had a conversation, according to the prosecution. They had a conversation about what to do now that people are being laid off. And one of them said, oh, as for me, I'm into some car importing business. And the other one said, oh, then I would like to join. He said, okay, if we can get some 200,000 cedis, we can get started. So how do we do it? So we can take it from the vaults. So when I'm making the cash requisition, I'll add an extra 100,000 that we don't need. You will go for it. And then when you bring it, it's my job to count it. So I'll say, oh, it's less 100,000. Then we pocket the 100,000 and go our way. So they did that twice and got 200,000. Now, unfortunately for them, the manager of the vault decided to do a stock taking, counted the cash and realized that on some.
Do some reconciliation.
So he shagged everybody, and one of them confessed. In fact, I believe it is Bobik who confessed, said that, oh yes, I took it. So then he said, yes, Bobik owned up. He said he was the one who took it and gave it to Prince. So they arrested them. They led the authorities to this place at Bachona, where they met with some guy who was going to bring them the cars and gave him the 200,000. So they said all of this. They've been arrested, brought to court, and they are pleading not guilty.
Oh, so this is all allegedly then?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So this is the case. That's why I started by saying this is the case of the prosecution.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So they are saying no, they are not guilty. They haven't confessed to.
They didn't need anybody anywhere.
They didn't need anybody anywhere. So the case is about to begin. But I mean, it's just like I'm already placing Lil Wayne and Acrobato in the two roles. I want to see this movie.
419.
Consolidated Amani. Part one, two, and three.
Elsewhere, I know, for example, in the United States, I've seen many videos of prosecutions interrogating suspects, and it's done on video, and it's done inconspicuous. You wouldn't know that you're being recorded. So that's an evidence also for the prosecution to send to the court.
That is if the prosecution's case is true, yeah.
But now, as they're saying they're not guilty, if you don't have the evidence that they told you all this, perhaps they didn't say it in a statement.
That is why people wonder why people plead not guilty. And I always say that when you plead guilty, then you'll be handed your sentence if the judge wants to do that. But not guilty, then the burden now shifts. The guy who is accusing you have to come and
prove. Exactly.
You just be wanting holes and might be lucky and they'll let you go.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, so this story on the back page of the graphic about the robberies, I think I made a mistake by saying the finder did. The finder actually did the road accident yesterday. This one is on robberies. And it says robbery cases increased to 1,772 last year from the 1,397 cases recorded in 2016. And this is according to the Ghana Police Service. It shows an increase of 375 robbery cases, or 26.8% over the 2016 figure. This means that on the average, 5 robberies were recorded daily in 2017.
There was a robbery in my area 3 days ago. For the first time.
Home?
No, my neighbor. And it's the first time we've had a robbery in our area since
you got
the area got established. And it's worrying because we thought that just by the design of our community, that we would be less prone to such things, but now we've been proved wrong, and you can imagine the alarm here. Yes, I have made provision for such things, which you hope is sufficient. But you have a child in the house, and the last thing you want is to have to prove that you are well protected, especially in the presence of your child. These things will traumatize them forever, and I certainly hope such a thing doesn't happen. The police really, it should be that #1 priority of the police, to make us safer in our homes. If you can't make us safe out there, at least in our homes,
Okay, but they say that the surge is also because of mobile money vending agents. You know, we've had quite a number of cases with robbery with
so
mobile
it's not
money
all domestic.
agent. Not all.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it.
That should be it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Let's
We can
see
go
what's
online?
online. Yeah. A few stories on myjoyonline.com. Let's check them out. Daddy Roro.
Yeah. So we have the My Joy Online platform, or myjoyonline.com.
Which is showing you white right now.
Well, as the site is reloading, perhaps Ghana too. The minority is raising issues about an intention to raise some 50 billion.
350 billion.
Okay.
Is what they are saying, Anna.
No, to service
the 50 billion.
Yeah, but currently we know that there's also a memo that has been cited, or of course given to the minority ranking person
from the IMF,
the finance committee, and then also given to the majority, and then even the finance minister, who had earlier petition, and the IMF is saying they have to go back to headquarters to get some clarification on whether that 2 billion batter we're getting from China is a loan or not, or could be added to our debt burden.
Yeah.
And you know, the president was talking about just copying China.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me how ironic that is. You know, he's been a leader of a party that is a proponent of property owning, democracy, capitalism, endorsing the communist way of developing a country.
That's why I said we need to change our system of government.
The president clearly doesn't seem like a capitalist president at all.
No. It doesn't appear so, which is interesting since he's leading.
So let's also remind our viewers that the Finance Committee of Parliament is beginning their sitting today to hear this case of the collapsed banks, the consolidated banks. It's an indoor sitting. But I've heard in camera, yes.
They're
not allowing.
Inviting the directors of the defunct banks too.
Okay.
We got that confirmation yesterday.
They are not.
Yes, they're only engaging BOG officials
and the Ministry of Finance,
KPMG and the receivers. That's
so
all.
it's not.
But what I heard one of the, I think, ranking member, say yesterday was that because of all the commentary that citizens had made, when they meet today, they would talk about the concerns that have been raised. Mainly, let it be a public hearing. Let everybody, let television stations and radio stations carry it so that we all can hear.
Otherwise, there isn't much of a point, is there?
They would see if they can put it to a vote again, because they voted on this the first time, and the majority thought, let's do it in camera. So hopefully, if what I heard is true, then we should expect something like that. But otherwise, it's an in-camera thing, And it's a Wednesday, so we bring you AM Business today. And that reminds me, something happening with MTN in Nigeria. It's one of the biggest business news around the world.
Are they paying out their money?
They've been slapped with another $2 billion
in addition to the
dollars.
It was an earlier
The 8 was for them to bring back the money they sent allegedly outside Nigeria. But there are people who are saying that there is unnecessary focus on on MTN, and this allegation dates back like some 10 years, and so it looks as if they have something against the South
Does the figure ring a bell?
Which one is that? The 2 billion? Of course it does.
The 8 billion rings a bell.
2 billion also
rings a
been
bell.
fined in the past.
Right now, every figure in Ghana is
because
ringing a
there
bell.
are
50
other
billion
telcos in
rings a bell.
Nigeria,
100
and they're not treating them the way that they're
so
treating.
that is a sign
that's
for a single giant. Like that's how much we are chasing.
Is it 50 million customers or something like that in Nigeria? Nigeria is huge.
It's big. It's big. I think when somebody, write your music and it puts into good record label, you could sell it.
Oh, by the way, the Daily Guide has the contestants for Miss Ghana 2018.
I don't know, like I kind of lost interest in Miss Ghana, honestly. With all the things that have happened.
Could you in your pen?
No, but I wish some of them luck. I hope they go far.
How are you selecting which ones to
I
dislike?
endorse their
All right,
candidature.
time is up, guys. We have to run.
Okay.
Yeah.
So apologies we couldn't bring you myjoyonline.com, but it's always available. Just log on to myjoyonline.com and catch up with all the news. We'll bring you sport up next, but good morning again to Dr. Asante. Dr. Asante stayed up. I think it's about 11 something in where you are in the US and you're watching, so we really appreciate
Dr. Asante,
it.
good morning.
Good morning.
I'll
Doc.
come for some lipos.
Baby.
We'll bring you sports.